going to Mars.
This podcast is a conversation with Jonathan Gracia. Jonathan is an attorney and a former judge in the city of Brownsville, Texas. He worked in the Cameron County District Attorney's Office, assigned to the 107th District Court, and was a legal assistant in the Office of the United States Representatives in Washington, D.C., under Congressman Solomon Ortiz. He is currently running for state representative under District 37. The host, Rene Rhi, and Jonathan talk about the rise of artificial intelligence like me. I am not a real person, but an avatar. How AI will affect us in everyday life, the benefits and dangers of it, and how it is rapidly changing the political realm. The conversation then leads to Jonathan's professional trajectory and his reasons for public service and his love for the city of Brownsville and Cameron County. He wants to serve his community and make it a better place for everyone who call the southernmost tip of Texas home. Puro 956.
Man, what do you think about what I just showed you? So I just showed Jonathan Russell Brand, Trump speaking Spanish, fluent Spanish. What do you think?
Very first thing I thought was, when did Russell Brand learn Spanish?
Hola, despiertas maravillas. No es el tipo habitual de video en este canal donde criticamos y atacamos noticias corruptas, porque en esta historia yo soy la noticia.
Seré el mejor presidente de empleos que Dios haya creado en toda la historia de nuestro país.
I thought it was, this guy's really speaking Spanish.
Well, since we had been speaking about Chat GPT and AI in general, I thought that it was possible that that's what was happening, but it was so good. Your initial impression is that he speaks Spanish.
So we put it on YouTube, and it's probably one of our most popular videos.
That's amazing.
We have a lot of hits, but the interesting thing is the commenting, because some people were like, whoa, we didn't know that this guy spoke Spanish. And then some other people were like, this is like, looks a little funny, might be AI. And there's like a whole conversation in the comments about this AI technology. So basically what it is this AI where you can grab, like I can grab you right now,
right?
Whatever you say, and I'll put you in this AI program, software, whatever it is, pay a subscription, and then I can hit 12 different languages. And not only does it translate it, but it does a deep fake. So your lips
are moving to the
actual language.
You know, Congress, U.S. Congress right now is trying to get a hand on all of this. At the current moment, they're actually having committee hearings in the U.S. Senate to try to see whether or not they can get updated, educated, right? The technology, of course, is going to move at lightning speed.
Yeah.
That's the marketplace. That's capitalism.
Yeah.
Governments moves at a snail speed.
Yeah.
And so el Senado intentará verificar si pueden actualizarse y educarse. La tecnología, por supuesto, va a avanzar a una velocidad vertiginosa. Sí, eso es correcto.
Well, I don't think anybody thought that this technology was going to come so soon and develop at the pace it's developing. Because it's from one day to the next, we had this thing called Chat GPT, and now you have text to image, text to video, where you can just literally prompt the AI and create video for you.
Right.
So the way that they're going to be producing movies and making content is just going to be AI. That's why all the writers and the actors are fighting in Hollywood, because the studios are not going to need writers anymore. You just literally prompt ChatGPT to give you ideas and to write scripts. And then even crazier now is that later on, you're not going to even need crew to make movies. You're not going to need directors. You're not going to need gaffers or cinematographers or editors. You're just basically going to tell the AI, this is what I want. I want a movie. I want to be 007, and you're going to be the hero of your own movie.
I can see the aspects and where it's going to affect the market, right? Mm-hmm. So you're talking about the loss of jobs, and that's super important. In my field, right? I'm in politics.
What have you heard about AI in politics?
There's a fear, and it's, in my opinion, it's rightly so.
What's the fear?
The reality is that in politics, you have to run campaigns. Mm-hmm. I'm currently in one now.
Right.
And what you have is this.
But see, like right now is like, because not a whole lot of people know about it, right?
That's exactly
so if you use it to your advantage right now, before everything gets even crazier,
correct.
then you're going to be too late. That's what I tell these kids now that, I don't want to do AI. Well, okay, fine. Whether you like it or not, AI is here.
It's here.
And if you don't learn these tools, you're going to be left behind, right?
Exactly.
So for politicians, at least,
I mean, think about it. We're all the rules of the game have changed, and the quite frankly, there are no rules. And so the reality is, in campaigns, what happens often is that there is information that's distributed, right, from whichever side. I mean, you can pick a campaign from president all the way down to a local city council. And there's always going to be those rumors, people talking. That's how it was before. Then you went to leaflets, right?
Yeah.
Those were just information that's distributed once we had print. And as a candidate, oftentimes those rumors and leaflets, you went from leaflets to the internet, right? And it has a tremendous effect on your campaign. It has a tremendous effect on the information that people are consuming.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have to combat, especially in our area here, right, is the news. The news is not present, right? It's not present in a way that people are able to consume information that is not only valuable in order for them to be able to make an informed decision, but at the end of the day, it oftentimes is never covered. And so the individuals or the different organizations, if you want to call it that, I really don't even think it's that. I think it's just blogs, the internet, the sphere. They're distributing information based off of who pays, who doesn't pay. It's a scary thought. And so when you add this aspect of Chat GPT or any type of AI that's out there in the market, you're talking about, is it a deep fake? You know, you've got city members of Congress that don't know what that is. So the ethics between now and the time that the rules are made, we're talking, this is the wild, wild west right now.
What ChatGPT does and what AI does, at least in some of these applications that I've been seeing, is that basically they grab stuff from the internet and then you prompt it to change it. So the copyright, you as an attorney, I don't know, like the copyright, how does that work, right? Because you're grabbing stuff from other people or lyrics from a song or whatever it is that you're grabbing.
Sure.
It's not yours, but then you prompt ChatGPT and it'll change it.
Correct.
So it becomes something different.
Exactly.
But like, how do you know? How do you know that you grab this piece of art or this video or whatever it is came from something? It's just impossible to track. So
it's something that it's something that's here now. And so I'm not going to be the first to tell you that it's going to be super influential.
For the most part, it's just the tip of the iceberg that we know.
Absolutely. We're seeing the good, right? We're seeing the good. And what's the good? The good is, how do we become more efficient? How is it that we can try to reduce costs? But unfortunately, that affects the market in terms of employment, right? And it's going to change so quickly in some industries, not all, but some. Everyone's going to be touched.
Okay, so you heard that buzz, right?
Sure.
Okay, so the way that we got rid of it is that we had to hire somebody to get rid of it. You put it in the software, and we could probably do it, but it's time consuming, and we just like, let's just pay somebody to get rid of it. But now we don't have to do that because the AI will do it for you. So you just upload it to the AI and click one button, and it'll fix it for you.
You know what I find amusing, Rene, is that in the future, I have a daughter. My daughter is going to turn 3 in November. And I know that eventually when she gets to like 16, 17, and we start driving lessons, right? That the probability is extremely high that she's going to be driving an electric car. And so
or a flying car.
Maybe we'll go that quickly. But at the end of the day, she's going to be looking at me and saying, "Hey, Dad, is it true? What? You know, you drove gasoline vehicles. You know, like some, like you used to, you know, do this thing that we nowadays. I mean, you remember because we come from the same, you know, generation. We're the same age. That we remember the life without cell phones, and it was a good life.
Oh yeah,
it was a good life. I mean, it's a convenience, right? but it also has changed the world.
Yeah.
The way we communicate, the way that we act around each other.
Yeah. Well, you can't get away with anything anymore because everybody's recording you. Right?
That's true.
So one little incident, one word that you say or whatever it is that is caught on camera, it could ruin your whole life, right?
That's true.
You might have a really bad day, your wife left you or cheated on you or like whatever it is, and then you show up at the supermarket and some dork says something to you, and then you say something back, and somebody records you, and they just
they post the clip. Maybe we get to the point where everyone knows that we're humans, we're going to err. And maybe we get to the point where everything's recorded so much so that you see these gaffes all the time. And at the very end of the day, people maybe are more accommodating to that error, Hey,
I don't think so, man.
You don't think so?
I think it's the other way around. I think people love to see other people fall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, hell yeah. That guy's an asshole. Like everybody's like cheering on whenever, like somebody says like a racial word or whatever, that's it. You're done. They'll fire you from your work. They'll you'll have. I think there was an attorney in New York, and I'm just giving you an example. There was an attorney in New York who said something to some lady at some diner, something like racist, and a bunch of Mexican people showed up at this guy's
office
building with like mariachi playing and just
that's crazy.
The whole night, and the guy couldn't sleep, and he got fired. So the whole community rallied.
Wow.
And it happens all the time. So you can't get away with anything anymore. You can't do anything. You can't say anything. You can't. Criminals are being caught left and right. It's our privacy is completely.
It's almost gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that I don't know if I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Well,
but still, I don't think people love to see other people fall.
I do agree with that. But what I do see is that, and let's go to the top. You look at president, and they make gaffes all the time. President Biden's known for it, right? Miscues and misstatements. Trump says things that are off the wall as well. And so both of those candidates that are now in the lead for president, neither one of them is considered a great, a perfect politician by no means. And that perfection, of course, is those imperfections are seen all the time. And so I think that I think it's going to go the other way. I think definitely people are going to be interested in the gaffes and in the mistakes because it's either funny or crazy. But at the same time, there's going to be a level of forgiveness that may have not.
Well, but the other thing, going back to the AI now, right? How are you going to know? Because what I just showed you, people actually think that those people are actually speaking Spanish. And
they're Spanish speakers, Rene.
It sounds really legit.
Yeah, no. Like what I'm trying to say is the people who are watching are Spanish speakers, and so they're people from. Predominantly, they're going to be from Mexico or a Latin American country, South America, whatever. That are looking at it going, okay, wait, this is different. And it's said with their same diction, their same.
So as a politician running for, let's say you're Donald Trump, right? That for the most part doesn't do very well with Hispanics or with Mexicans, right? With a lot of Mexicans. But with this AI, if you translate and dub his English to Spanish, and it's like he's talking Spanish,
there's a connection.
Exactly. It's different.
Absolutely.
And how is that going to change politics or elections? That's what I'm saying. Like, we got to get into this now before everybody starts doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is actually something positive, right? So if you're able to connect, if you're able to just have a little bit more, quote unquote, humanity in it, because the humanity is, and the way that politics works,
right?
At the very end of the day, you're trying to relate to people. You need to be able to say, hey, I'm a good listener. I understand.
Yeah.
And now let me show you how I understand. Oh, we come from the same culture. We come from the same geographic area. I know what it is that you're feeling. I know what it is that you're worried about. And then people buy into your message.
Yeah.
And so if you
and for people that don't speak English, right? That are just hearing, he said this, he said that, but when they hear him talk, they don't understand what they're saying because they don't speak English. But now if you speak Spanish, then
they just feel better. Yeah, they feel better about it.
The problem or the other side of that I think of is people are going to be able to create fake stuff. Right?
Absolutely.
What I just showed you was an actual clip of these people speaking in English. And we put it in the AI and it translated into Spanish. So it's not fake. It's just translated.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to be able to create things that they never said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to be able to distinguish them.
Exactly. And,
So-
and what happens when that's distributed out to, like, and think about our area, it's fertile for this, because information on candidates.
I can just grab all your opponents, put them in deep fake, and have them say horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And you will win. Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't
I won't
want
charge you very much.
I wouldn't want to win like that.
Yeah.
But
somebody that doesn't have any principles would.
yeah.
Right?
What happens when somebody who's not affiliated with your campaign does it?
Right, exactly.
What happens if the campaign that you're going against and that opponent decides just to do it so they can come out and say, oh, this is a fake.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's only me and this other candidate. They did it.
We can grab all your opponents and have them endorse you.
Right.
Vote for Jonathan Gracia.
That's amusing. that would really confuse everyone.
That would be a campaign ad.
Mm.
Because then you can say, hey, these people aren't really endorsing me, but these are my opponents. But we created this with AI. I just wanted to show you, right,
What's out there?
what's out there. And if you see me endorsing them, it's not real.
Well, let me tell you, if that scenario that you just put forward, we actually did it. What it would do in this race would completely confuse everyone.
Oh, yeah. So
that confusion, I don't know if that causes interest or disinterest, because at the same time, everyone who's looking at it going, oh, so it's fake. It's fake. So everything that's coming out of here is fake. I mean, you don't know how to differentiate.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, it would really cause a lot of harm right now.
Right. But there's no loss.
No, there isn't.
It's just, it's insane.
Everything has changed. And I mean, and ChatGPT, what we heard about it, at least I did, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know, whenever they broke out.
Yeah.
Whenever they broke out and it came onto the news, is, because I, of course, read and try to keep up with what's going on. And it's the first time you hear about it. And from just even a few months ago to now,
Oh, yeah.
you're showing me different applications of it that I never even thought of. And that's going to be happening continuously.
It's just getting crazier and crazier.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's also
Yeah.
scary.
But I think it's one of the issues that you should focus on, right? Because I don't think a lot of people are focusing on these type of issues, right?
Yeah, definitely.
New technology. How is it going to affect us in the Rio Grande Valley?
We're going to get blindsided.
Yeah. So I
People will
think
be at
I think it'd be a good conversation for you to have with an expert.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about your plans for running. Maybe tell us a little bit about your background for people that don't know you,
Sure.
and why you want to run for House of Representatives.
Okay. Name, Jonathan Gracia. I'm running for State Representative District 37. The geography is important. That's where you want to start off. And so there's 2 districts that we have within Cameron County. Willacy County is included in 37. So it's actually 2 counties that are going to be represented in the district. So the geography of one of the seats, which was 38, was just completely Brownsville, right? It's Brownsville proper. And 37 includes the majority of Cameron County, separate and apart from some of the communities that have been cut out on the west side. And by cut out, I mean they've been drawn, right? Where certain cities like La Feria, for instance, that has the city heart of it cut out. San Benito, that only has a couple of precincts that are left in. So it's not every city completely, but the vast majority. Of Cameron County. And then you have Willacy County, right? So really interestingly enough, they're based off of population. You need to be able to have the same number of people within your district that somebody else's district has across the state of Texas. So someone won't be representing 400,000 to your 2, right? Because then that's not equal representation.
Right.
So you need to be able to have the same. And so the city of Brownsville, although a lot of people think that it's small, that one city is the equivalent of the majority of Cameron County and all of Willacy County put together. So
What's your population now?
Of which one?
Brownsville.
It's roughly about 200,000. It's like about 190,000 officially. Of course, unofficially, you know that it's a lot higher than that.
It's just expanding like crazy.
It is.
There's so many subdivisions being built, so many houses. The infrastructure is just crazier and crazier.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? So the good part about it, we always want economic growth and more growth. I went to a couple of State of the City addresses, right? and Harlingen, right? I just went to the state of the city in Harlingen. Very impressive what they've been able to accomplish there. There's been a lot of, believe it or not, new development, even just within the last 2 or 3 years. Now, what people don't understand is that business, right? We want new businesses to come in because predominantly in the Valley, or whether you're in Willacy County or Cameron County, whichever city you want to pick, predominantly the tax base is based off of residential. So you're talking anywhere from 60 to 80% of the tax base residential. That means that the industry, the businesses within that community aren't footing the majority of the bill. And where do we get our services? Where do we get the streets, the lights? That we always complain about whichever community that you're in. The streets aren't good enough. The drainage is not good enough. The lights aren't good enough. We hear this every day. And when you look at it, the cities and even the county, they're looking to try to provide those services. But unfortunately, the only way that they can do this is through taxes. And the largest piece of that bill, the footprint, is predominantly residential. So what you have here is this burden. And that burden is felt more in our communities down here in the Valley, especially in our county, here in Cameron, and also even worse in Willacy, because there's not enough industry that's helping to foot that bill.
Yeah.
It's really simple. It should be. It should be about economic development, right? And it should be about representation. Now, let me tell you what I mean by both, because those are just buzzwords. Like, okay, yeah, well, that doesn't make any sense.
You're going to represent us, Jonathan?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, awesome. So I stand in front of them and I give them my speech, right? And I start off and I tell them, whether I make it as a state representative or one of the other candidates is given the privilege of being able to represent our community here, they're going to pass legislation. Some are going to pass a little bit more than the other, but at the very end of the day, they're going to pass some legislation. But the reality is that people aren't looking just for legislation. That's your job, right? Your job as a state legislator is to be able to go out there, effectively communicate, be able to reach across the aisle and get things done, right? Because you don't get them done by yourself. You have to get them done by collaboration.
Right.
That's the skill of a true public servant. Now,
and compromising.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because you can't have it your way all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So now you're doing your job, right? And?
Yeah. And?
Yeah. Because the reality is that the majority of the public never gets to meet the state representative. Right. But I tell you personally, the way that I want to be able to try to change it up is that there needs to be an expectation of public service. Public service to Jonathan Gracia, to me, is not just doing your job. That's your job. You need to be out there in the community. What does that mean? You need to help. You need to give back. You need to try to stand up and serve. That means sacrifice. It's hard, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Public service.
Yeah.
It's not, I do my job. You do your job and what? And that's the difference. That's what I've done since the very beginning, right? I got elected as the Justice of the Peace.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your career. Where did you go undergrad and you went to law school? And how long did you practice law? And then what was your trajectory?
Yeah.
From undergrad, law school, practicing law to where you are now?
Right. So graduated high school in 95, went off to college, started off at Baylor University, transferred into the University of North Carolina.
Tar Heels?
Yeah. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
And all of my friends were headed off to big cities, asking me what I was going to do. And I told them I'm coming home. I'm going back to Brownsville and I'm going to get back. I'm going to go to the Valley. I want to be able to give back and serve and just do what I want to do.
Right.
It's just everyone's confused. Like, what are you doing? Why'd you come all the way to North Carolina and then you're going to head back home? They didn't even know where I was from.
Exactly. You don't know how cool Brownsville is,
yeah,
bro?
No. The Valley, it's awesome.
What year was this? 2000, you said?
It was 1999.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was 2000. Excuse me. It was 2000. And so before the bubble burst, I was able to find employment at the city of Port Isabel. And it was my first job, and whenever you get your first job, real job, you're just you're excited, and I always have like a really special place in my heart for the city of Port Isabel. I love that place. I love the people. And so was doing economic development for that city. And what I tell people from my experience there, the city budget back in 2000 was roughly about 2.3 million for the entire city. And the challenge that the city manager posed to me, sort of like as an offhand joke, you need to be able to raise $1 million. He said this in front of all of the other administrators within the city, public works, the city secretary, EMS director, all the directors. They were all there, right?
Put you on the spot.
21 years old, and he's like, yeah, you need to raise this $1 million. And everyone started laughing, and I was like, okay. So, I went out there and I started networking. I did everything I could possibly do to try to generate money for the city. So I was there 13 months, and I remember that was my first meeting with all the administrators. And then I remember the last one. So what I did is I got this portfolio together, I put it together, and I handed it over to the city manager, and I got up and I said, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here. And before I go, I wanted to let you know that I didn't hit the $1 million, but I got 850,000. I had gotten so much funds, 8 grant applications is what I wrote, received 8 applications back with money. And so everyone was just really pleased, and I was proud. And yeah, the city manager wasn't so happy, but
you didn't make the million.
Yeah, I didn't make the million. I apologize.
Yeah.
But the really cool part was, I quit on a Friday, right? It was, I put in my 2 weeks notice, quit on a Friday. And by Monday I was working in Washington, D.C. Flew up on Saturday, moved in with a really good friend of mine on Sunday. And on Monday I was at work, right?
Or a completely different job.
Yeah. Like we're talking like 48 hours I was over there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, life changer. Congressman Solomon Ortiz, who used to be our representative here, gave me the opportunity, right, to be able to go up to Washington. And the reason I got that job, sometimes it takes a tragedy in order for you to be able to get an opportunity. And so right after 9/11, right, and on September 15th, the causeway gets struck, right, by the barge, and so it collapses. Okay, that's 4 days right after. At first, that night when I was contacted.
For people who don't know this, we're talking about the barge that goes from Port Isabel to the island.
Right, the Queen Isabella Causeway, right?
It collapsed.
Right, now we call it the Memorial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that happened in 4 days right after 9/11. So at first, we thought that maybe it was related to terrorism, right? And no one knew. And it took like a couple of days for them to figure out, okay, this had nothing to do with that after all of the investigation had been started. And so what ends up happening is I'm the EDC director, right? So I'm in charge of the economic development initiatives of the city. Everyone loses their job. So the city of Port Isabel, Laguna Vista, a majority of those people, they're in the tourist industry or public service industry, right? And they cross over that bridge daily.
Yeah.
Right? We know that. Hotels, businesses, they're there. And so everyone's out of a job. And this isn't the pandemic. This is local.
That's so crazy that there's still one bridge. I think they said that for the longest time they were going to make another one, but it's never happened. Right.
And there's a lot that goes on into that particular project. I mean, it's a 7-mile bridge, right? From Holly Beach getting to the northern section of the island.
Yeah.
And to save money, they had thought about making it just two lanes.
Oh,
yeah.
That's going to be awesome with traffic.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine? So there's a lot of different, besides the environmental, just the logistics of it has been really complicated.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that it hasn't been built yet, including a lot of others, but those are the two main ones.
Yeah.
The environmental aspects, of course, have always caused problems. And then on top of it, where are we going to get the money?
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot that goes into that, but that it's needed. It is absolutely needed.
Yeah.
I believe the entire Laguna Madre area understands that it's required. At the time, it was very divisive, right? Everyone that was on in Port Isabel, where I worked, or even in the Laguna Madre area outside of the island, didn't want to talk about another bridge because, of course, all that traffic that goes through is where they get their money.
Right.
Okay. So what ends up happening, I take off. And the only reason I took that job is because I got sold in the sell, right? There's always a pitch. The sell was, hey, listen, you're helping a city right now, but what about if I gave you the opportunity to be able to help communities?
Right.
Right. This isn't just one city. This is a county. And it's not just one county. This is several counties, right? With a lot of cities all in the valley and outwards. And I said, you know what? That sounds awesome. I was just so excited to be able to do it. And so I took off. And mind you, when I arrived, right, you have to be able to have the passion for this because I wasn't the first person to be offered the job. Most people don't know that. Do you remember what happened right after 9/11? There was like a big deal up there in Washington. Right after 9/11, it was like this next tragedy that everyone was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? The anthrax attacks.
Oh, that's right. That they were sending envelopes with
right.
that's
With anthrax.
Insane. Yeah.
So the first person they offered the job to, just, they were scared. They had a family. They were going to make this big move from the district up to Washington. And they decided, you know what, this is too much drama. It's too much. It's a huge risk. I can't do it. So, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
22 years old. I'm like, yeah, anthrax, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, I'm Mexican. No
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, give me a Topo Chico and I'll be fine.
That's crazy. I forgot about that. That was a thing.
Yeah.
That you would open this envelope and it would have this
and we still
powder.
had to go through all the mail.
Yeah.
So we're in masks and gloves, opening mail that they had tried to treat through radiation. And so there was just dust all over the place.
That's crazy.
It was a lot of things that were going on.
So you were 22 years old right after 9/11. Damn.
Yeah. And you remember those years, you're young. I was young. I was energetic. I still had a lot of, I guess there was naivety there, right? You're thinking, man, no problem. There's no issues, but it was a different world.
Well, I can imagine people being super nervous and
oh man,
just scared.
I only knew the aftermath of 9/11. I never saw Washington, D.C. prior. So everyone used to talk about it. Like you could walk up to the Capitol. You could drive up to the Capitol. I just didn't know that. Everything was barricaded.
Yeah.
The security just ramped up. And we've even gone further up now. I imagine that it's not even close to anything like that now.
Yeah.
To what it was even just at that time. So a lot of security, right? So I did that for about 3 years. And I knew that I wanted to come home.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've always wanted to be here. My heart's here. And so I decided I wanted to apply to law school. And the reason that I wanted to apply to law school was because I wanted to be able to have a job where I could not only help, but also be able to have a family, right? Everyone wants to have one, the majority of people. And so I said, if I go home, I know that I eventually want to do that.
Right.
And so that was going to give me the opportunity to do it. So that's why I applied. I was able to get into the University of Texas, moved from Washington.
Was that your first choice?
Yeah, it was my first choice. That was one of the things that I wrote in my application. And everyone knew that was my first choice there. I applied early. And so was able to get in, went to the University of Texas, was there for roughly about 3 years and got out. And then, it's the same questions.
Law school is 3 years?
Yeah. And same questions, what are you going to do? Are you going to come home? Are you going to go, stay here? You're going to go to New York? What are you going to do? I mean, it gives you a lot of opportunities. And I remember there was a law firm that wanted to interview me from North Carolina. And I already knew where I was going. I'm going home. I had no job again. I had no prospects.
From law school?
From law school. Because the prospects that I had were not from the Valley.
Oh. No, because you wanted to stay home.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because
or at least in Texas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
thought like everybody that gets out of UT law school, because it's such a great law school, already has like,
you get an offer. Yeah. You get recruited.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, if you don't want to be where the law firms are, what do you do?
Right.
And so, I started marketing myself when I would come home. Hey, I'm going to be available. And I mean, times have changed so much now.
Right.
But at that time, you're making phone calls to the people, you're networking. And I came home and I was, unemployed for like about a couple of months before
after law school.
Yeah. Just marketing, throwing my resume out and making calls. And I got an offer, right? I got an offer from the district attorney's office.
Dude, you were making phone calls to get a job or to get clients?
No, to get a job. I was not working by myself. I wanted to be able to at least learn a craft before I, opened up my own shingle and started.
But you can start your own.
Absolutely, right from the onset.
You can do simple stuff like.
It's kind of ironic when you get out of law school. That's when you know the most law. I mean, you study for the bar exam, you study for all those 3 years, and it's all these different areas of law.
Yeah.
And you come out knowing a lot of information. It's up to date.
Yeah.
And then, you pick a field, and it's just like a doctor, I can be a general practitioner, or I can really specialize in a particular field. And I went into criminal law. And so, you don't even know you're going to be good at it at first. You have to be a good speaker. You have to be able to present information. And at the very end of the day, what you're there for is justice, right? And so you want to make sure that you're bringing those complaints forward, the indictments forward, because these are individuals' lives, right? You want to get it right.
How was your first trial?
Yeah. Oh man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool. I went against an attorney. I still remember it. A very, very accomplished attorney, Michael Young, who was the defense attorney at the time here in Cameron County. I believe now he was the head public defender.
So you were probably super well prepared not to be. Were you nervous?
No, it was good because I had prepared just like you had mentioned, and I was ready to go. It was on a really, really important case. It was a reckless driving.
Okay.
And so that's a Class B misdemeanor. At the time, you think it's the most important case in the world, and really, you learn that there's different variances of importance.
It's not decapitating babies.
No, it's not. It's not something that's gonna cause the world to stop.
Yeah.
And so at the time, you think it's the most important one, and I prepared, and I did so well, and I was out there, and I was awesome. I did everything that I wanted, brought in all the evidence that I wanted, knew all of my objections. I just was doing it. And so I remember we finished our closing statements, and he comes up, Michael Young comes up, and he says, "Wow, I'm impressed. You did so well." And I wasn't prepared for that. I thought you were going to get nervous.
Just a rookie coming out.
And man, I ate it up. I was like, yeah, it's all right. I understand. And he's like, listen, my client, maybe he'll just take 30 days. That was the max, for reckless driving. He'll take the 30 days in jail. We'll just try to get some credit. He really doesn't want to do probation. I said, yeah, sure. I can offer you that. The jury is ready. Oh, okay. So we take our seats and not guilty. Not guilty. I was staring at him like, what just happened? I lost.
This guy pulled a fast one on you.
Oh man.
So what, how?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I still remember all the little pieces that he put together. Right. And that comes through experience, like in any field, right? It comes through experience. He had made sure pre-trial to be able to insert law, right? The law in the jury charges. The jury charges the rules. So he told the jury, okay, I'm going to present what they're going forward on the complaint, which was reckless driving. He goes, but if you don't think this is reckless driving, you can also say that it's speeding. Okay, he's just speeding. He's not reckless driving. So my whole thing was reckless driving. I just was caught up onto the
reckless driving is punishable by the maximum punishable is
30 days.
30 days.
Mm-hmm.
But what does reckless driving mean?
Well, in a nutshell, it's
not a DWI.
No, it's not.
You could be reckless driving while you're sober.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And it's up to the juror, right? Each individual juror is going to have that exact same thought. Well, to me, it's not. And to me, it is. And it's your job to be able to not only explain the law, this is what the code says.
Right.
But at the end of it, do you think that that's what it was? And so when I got back there and I spoke to the jurors, I asked them, well, what happened? I really thought that this was...
That I had it.
Yeah. I was like, this was mine. And they said, no, it was speeding. And it was just that simple.
They just switched.
And, that was from an experienced attorney that had me, twisted. It was like, oh, I'm going to feed you, right? And at the very end of the day, I'm just going to pull the rug. And so I learned really quickly, okay, that preparation wasn't even enough.
Yeah. That
I was going to have to take my lumps. And so...
It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Especially for it wasn't a crazy charge or anything.
No. And I mean, that, that part of being a prosecutor, you're learning. You're learning as you go.
Fresh out of UT Law School with your suit, hair slicked back, you're going to win.
Yeah. I mean, I put in days of preparation for it. And, he probably didn't even study 2 hours, you know,
Sick.
but he had me at go.
He
And
probably went and had a couple beers that night. This idiot, just right out of law school.
He totally, and you know, the funny thing is now I've been practicing since 2008. So we're talking, I'm going on 15 years now. And, you know, I see that same cycle of life, right? You see the prosecutors come out and how they have to learn. And, you know, the simple mistakes, but those simple mistakes cost you at the very end. And so,
have you talked to him? Like, did you talk to him after, or like?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
What did he say? Hey, man.
You know, he told me, you know what? I'm impressed with your preparation. You did really well in the presentation, but there was a couple of things you missed. And I mean, I already had seen it when I talked to the jurors. I understood. Oh, I missed this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, super interesting stuff. And so I left the DA's office in 2012.
Okay, so 3 years? You said?
Yep, 3.5 years. And so it's the middle of 2012, and I started up my own business. And you know, when you start up, you got nothing. I mean, at least
you're talking about there's a lot of criminals in this city.
Yeah. Well,
so
I'm not talking about clients.
You were. What was your? Were you defending, or you? Because what do you get? What do you do after you get out of DA?
Oh, I mean, you can.
Was you just an attorney in general?
Yeah, you can.
Like all kinds of cases.
You can parlay that into whatever you want.
Okay.
You can go into the federal system and continue being a prosecutor. You can come out and you can go to different industries. You know, a lot of times what industries are looking for, and I'm talking about with litigators, if you're good at your job, if you're good at being in front of people and you're not intimidated by the challenge, right, of being able to speak, then you're going to do well. So a lot of different industries will come to you and say, hey, you know, we want you to be part of this firm because we know that we deal with a lot of paper transactions, but at the end of the day, sometimes we have to get in front of a jury. So we got the guys that are good at paper. We got the other people that are good at presenting the paper, right? And so when you're in the field and you're doing well, there's no hiding it.
Right.
You can either speak public, or you're not a good speaker.
So what happens to these people to go to law school and are all shy, or what type of classes are you?
Transactional attorney.
They'd rather do more paperwork.
They're more comfortable writing,
right,
and turning in paperwork, which is part of the law.
Right,
it's imperative, right? So you have to do that. And then there's other people that would really like the interaction with people.
Yeah,
you know, and so
in law school, do they teach you obviously how to speak in public?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. No, that's totally your call. It's either you have it or you don't. And they don't. That's not something that you study for.
But there's
you have to practice.
There's not a class where
in law school
and where you go practice in front of it.
They have mock trial.
Yeah.
So every class will have a mock trial, but there's only one. And you know, some people participate, some people don't. And at the time, I thought I was going to be a real estate attorney. I was really interested in real estate and transactional law, and I just completely, did a 180 once I got out.
You were one of those people that didn't want to talk in public?
Well,
transactional.
Yeah, I thought that it was just going to be something that I found interesting, and I found out, you know what, I'm going to head in the other direction. I'm going to go this other way.
Man, it must be super nerve-wracking to go litigate in front of a jury, because let's say you have a client that this is his life, right? He's going to prison or whatever it is.
That's right.
And you have to be prepared.
Let me tell you, these are the really great stories that, people don't know. And I'll get back to opening the office. So you open the office, right? Like any small business owner. And unless you come from parents that were already in the business,
right,
you start from the bottom.
Right.
So I open up and I call my mom, like any good person. And I tell her, hey, Mom, you want to come work with me? I know that right now you got some time, and it's going to be great. I told her we'll go to breakfast, we'll go to lunch.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time. We're going to spend some time together. I don't have any clients. It's going to be okay. It's a true story. We open up the doors at 8 on a Monday, and the next thing you know, people are walking in. I'm getting calls, and I'm like, what's going on? This is weird. And it wasn't just one, it wasn't two, it was 3, 4. People were like, hey, I'm going to send you somebody. So people in the bar, right? People that were defense attorneys were helping out because they knew you're just open. So like, hey, you know what? I'll send somebody to you. I really don't want this case. And people would come in.
Right.
So the next thing you know, from Monday to Friday, I had like, I don't know. I think it was like about somewhere in the vicinity of like 10 clients. And of course, they have to pay you, for your services. And so my mom was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Look,
We're rich.
yeah,
We're fucking rich.
she said it.
Yeah.
She was like, you're going to be so rich. You know, and I said, no, this is not normal. This is not normal. It's weird.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. You know, we're going to take it. So at the end of the day, right, 3 or 4 months goes by and my mom's still in the front. She's still helping out because things are going well. It's picking up. And, you know, I'm in my office. There's no furniture in this place, right? I don't know if you've ever been to my office. It's a nice sized building. It's actually a historical home.
I've been.
Yeah, historical home. There was nothing in it, right? I had to, every dollar that came in, I would pump back into the law firm in order for it to build, you know, like any other business.
Right.
And so I'm doing this and she comes in, you know, she knocks and my mom comes in. Hey, Mom, what's going on? She's like,
I need a raise.
yeah. She sits down and she goes, here you go. And I hands over this piece of paper. I grab it and I say, what is this? She goes, it's my letter of resignation.
Ooh.
She goes, I can't do this anymore. You know, it's just too much. And I said, what are you talking about? You know, you're my mom. You can't quit. You know, you can't quit on your son. That's crazy. And she said, you know, I can't take it. Everyone that comes in here has a problem.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, everyone that goes into a doctor's office is sick.
Right.
And everyone that comes to a lawyer has a legal issue.
Right.
These are people with problems. And she goes, yeah, but what's going to happen with Pedro and Jose and Sandy and Jill and all these people? You know, they're going to go to prison. I can't take it. You know, I can't sleep. And the reality is that you're absolutely right. It is an incredible job because people come to you, Rene, on their worst days.
Yes.
This is that time when you were in high school, when you're in college, when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you make a mistake, which we all made.
Right.
Except you get caught.
Yeah. What are you talking about, man? I never did anything bad.
Yeah. Except you.
Yeah.
But everyone else, you get caught. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
And so now they come to you in that moment of vulnerability. And sometimes it's, hey, I got caught with reckless driving. Mm-hmm. And other times it's, hey, I drank and I killed somebody.
Right.
Right. Hey, I mentioned that because a lot of times people say, oh, I can defend those people. You know, well, the reality is that those people are us.
Yeah.
Right. They're coming in their worst days.
Yeah.
This is a time in your life where you didn't think that this was going to happen, that they didn't want it to happen. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of those cases.
Yeah. We often think about, oh, well, these people are all criminals, but they're regular people that sometimes they make a dumb mistake or an accident happens. And
you have that whole range because I'm not going to stand here and say, you know what?
You could be in your car and all of a sudden you get a phone call.
That's right.
You grab your phone in 1 second. Obviously, like if you're texting, but even though
you know what that's called,
those are still like
you know what that's called under the code? Criminal negligent homicide. So you answer that phone call. You look down.
Yeah.
You're on you're texting away because you're late on your assignment. You know.
Yeah.
You got to work.
Yeah, and we all do it. And we all do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate, but we're always working.
Yeah.
And you look down, and the next thing you know, that kid crosses. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible the stories that I've come across, and now these people are in front of you.
Oh man, that's why I couldn't be an attorney. Sometimes I wish I was an attorney because I want to go fight people. You know, like the HOA here.
Yes. Yeah. You want to.
But the flip side of that would be that I wouldn't sleep because I would think about my clients, especially if it's somebody that's innocent or somebody that made a mistake.
I've had the best and the worst of those situations, the best and the worst, right? And the reality is, you know, not everyone that you represent is innocent,
right?
But they have rights,
right?
And sometimes those rights are violated, and that's how you win your case. And then there's other people who are innocent, who you truly believe, you know what, it just makes sense. Yeah. You are innocent. Yeah. And it's a privilege to be in front of that person. Right. But I've also had those same clients that are innocent that come into your office and you tell them, don't worry, you know, we're going to fight the whole way. We're going to win this. We're going to do it. I can't guarantee you, but I'm going to give you everything I got.
Yeah.
And they get sentenced to prison. And you have to look them in the eye. And
that's tough, man.
It's those are the nights that you don't sleep.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you go back and over and over. You know, like, what did I do?
Especially because sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. Get a bad judge, technicality, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's just, there's nothing you can do about it.
Sometimes, they turn on a question that you just, where'd you get that from? Or they go left, they go right. You can never understand where a panel of 6 or 12, where they're going. And that's the scary part. It's gambling. And I tell all of my clients that when we get in there, we have no guarantees. We're going to do the best that we can. And as long as you do your job, you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. But let me get to this point. It's been 15 years of my practice, and I can almost tell you to a T my lines, right? I say them over and over again because it's what I believe, and I already know what it is that they're feeling. You're coming into this moment of vulnerability, and you're sitting across somebody, and just like a doctor's office, you're like, please help, I'm sick. This is, hey, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah.
And I look at them, they haven't slept. They're worried.
Yeah.
They're like, what's going to happen to me? And I see it today. I've seen it yesterday. I've seen it 100 times. And so I'm there, and it's an awesome, awesome feeling when you tell them.
Yeah.
When you tell them, you're sitting there and you go, okay, let it go. Don't worry. You're going to hire me, and I will tell you this. I can't guarantee you, but I'm going to try to get you out of this problem, and you're going to leave it here.
Yeah.
So you're going to go home tonight, and you're going to go to sleep. You're going to stop worrying, and you're going to let it go. You worry about you worry about your family. That's it. And I would say 70% of the time they start crying. Male, female, doesn't matter.
Well, it's just, you want to feel like somebody's got your back.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's the same thing when you go to see a doctor.
Yeah.
Because doctors here suck. I mean, not all of them, but for the most part. And it's not because they suck. It's because the way that our health system works, it's not particularly human. Because you go to Mexico, and it's completely different, right?
For sure, yeah.
Here, you wait some more. Then you get a nurse that takes you to a room, takes your blood pressure or whatever. And then you have a doctor come in for like 10 minutes or less than that.
And
right?
that's our system.
Yeah. And they ask you a bunch of questions, and then he sends you to get some tests.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you come back, reach the results. I didn't find anything. I'm going to do these other tests. Come back. By the time, like, you're already dying. And I'm not saying all doctors are like that, but I'm saying, like, there's just so many patients and so many patients.
Sure.
And the way that they charge is they don't charge you, they charge the insurance. So they want to see as many patients as possible. So I would assume it's the same with an attorney.
Right.
Because if you have an attorney who's just trying to make money and doesn't care about the client, okay, yeah, cool. Okay.
And it ranges. I mean, it's like in any other field. You know, you have good, bad. I'm more interested in the human touch, right? What is it and how is it that I was helping people? Because that's the reality. It's not about just doing the job.
Yeah. We were having a conversation earlier today with one of the board members of the Good Neighbor Shelter, because we're doing a video for them. And he was this dude who moved here 4 years ago from up north. I think he married a girl and he just wanted to volunteer because he wanted to help people. And now he's part of the board. And the way that he was talking, describing why he started working there, and like the connection that he has with the staff, but also like helping people, and the feeling that you get when you help a person, it makes you feel good. Yeah. And when it makes you feel good, the other person feels good. And that person, if you do something nice for that person, it sounds a little bit naive, like that movie, remember Paying It Forward? I don't know if you saw that movie. But it's such a great message, and it's such a great concept of like, I'm going to help you, right? And you don't have to like do anything for me, right? But just the next person that you see, do something nice. I was having this conversation with that guy the other day. It's like, wait, dude, why do you like stop and like, because I don't know, I have this thing where I want to help people. It makes me feel good. I want to stop on the side of the road and change people's tires, because people have helped me so much on the road, being stranded on the side of the road because I ran out of gas. So I know we've been going here for quite a while, but for people that don't know, when is the election?
The election's in March of next year. I don't even know the date right now.
Okay, from here to the election, you still have to be elected candidate for your
correct.
Party,
so,
right?
So there's going to be multiple candidates for the Democratic primary, right? And in order to hold the flag for the Democrats. Okay. And do
you already know who those people are, or
we won't have the final list until like December?
Okay.
But of course, people have to start a lot earlier than that in order to be a viable candidate.
Okay.
And so The reality is we're going to have maybe like 2, 3, 4 candidates in the Democratic primary. And
Okay.
if no one candidate gets 50% of that vote, then what happens is you have a runoff. So then it's the top 2 candidates that garner the most votes that go off into the runoff. And whoever wins that is now your Democratic nominee. So that won't happen until May. And so it's a long road. Separate from that, then whoever wins goes into the November general election, where the sitting incumbent for District 37 is a Republican. And, you face off to see who's going to win.
Wow, man. That's
It's more than a year from now.
yeah, that's crazy. That's if you get elected.
That's right. Now, I want you to think of something. This process will not stop until it's over, right? In other words, when you enter a campaign, you don't take time off. You're just like, you know what?
I'm going to take a break for 2 months.
Yeah,
I'm going to Cancun. Just on the beach. No.
Unless you're Ted Cruz.
Yeah, right.
But at the very end of the day, you're just on all the time. Yeah. Now, you imagine you go all the way, right? Say you have that privilege of going all the way to November, and you just don't make it. Yeah. It's a tax on your family.
Of course.
That's number one.
Of course.
And then it's tax on your finances. So it's just a lot of different, it's a lot of different sacrifice. And you want to know the thing I love about politics the most? The campaigning.
Really?
Yeah. It's the ability to be able to meet so many different people. And majority of politicians can't stand campaigning.
In other countries where your candidate, you have all of these other people behind that candidate, and the outcome of the campaign is what's going to determine everybody else's future and livelihood, right?
That's right.
When an administration comes in, everybody leaves from the other administration for the most part, right? An administration comes in from a different party, I'm going to bring all my people in. Everybody's counting on this person to win for salaries and positions and all that. Here, not so much, but man, it's just when you lose, it sucks, dude.
Yeah. And I've been on both sides of the coin now. And for better or for worse, in this campaign, I know that I'm going uphill, right? And what a challenge. Let's go for it. Let's try it. Let's see whether or not my message resonates with voters here. And I'm hoping that they take a look at us. They're able to see just a little bit, spend 2 minutes, just looking around. Maybe with me getting out there more, they'll see more of my candidacy and what I'm about. But at the end of the day, I think that the choice is going to be clear because we're so different, each of us, on how it is that we want to be able to run our administrations when we get in there and how we want to truly try to help people. So I'm looking forward towards the future.
Very well said. Thank you for being here. And
yeah, man, thanks for having me. I'll be back.
Okay.
All right.